The quick we're talking about. We didn't expect teams to resolve these. We thought that we'd see them putting the punches down early, and already that's coming across. A few knocks established, and this is shaky. This is the difference between establishing early points to start things off in a group versus going out with absolutely nothing to be said blank. And it's looking a bit nasty already.
Absolutely is. We're getting fighting all over the place. Falak's already down, their star player on the side of IA, and it's continuing to go off here. Does finally finish. I think IA survive in this situation. We got another hot drop here between Mad Bulls and the Falcons. They love their drop here over towards the ruins, gives them a lot of options, but so many hot drops at the start of the day. Everyone's trying to claim some presence here on the short-term sprint that is this first initial stage of the league.
This will be ruined early on for Mad Bulls. It's not looking great from the start. Already looking at the main man from the roster. Frozen and Zerich trying to play off each other's contact here and slow it down a little bit, keep themselves out of trouble for now and keep their noses clean, but they are being hunted. Falcons, if they were able to take Mad Bulls entirely out of this one, straight away off the back of the hot drop, it would be grotesque. It would be so damaging to the confidence of Mad Bulls to start it off. Like you're saying, that would literally be the roll up the newspaper, throw it out the window and forget about it.
Well, I mean, for Mad Bulls as well, already been down to 2 players. Super unideal for yourself here. Not really much done about it. Great molly down the stairs there from 6. He's performed very well over in PMWI, finding a lot of opportunities for his team. Another nade, banks it off the wall. That looks pretty good. There is a retreat in play.
Chasing him down now in the close quarters engagement. Zerich the one, but the trade back is more than enough to get the job done. Getting his back on his feet. And that's the way it goes. Mad Bulls struggling to find anything on the hot drop then. So the ego challenge of that one paying off with Falcons flying ahead, already finding the 4 elims, joining IA off the back of closing things down on the initial clash.
That is an alter ego though. Things have gone a little bit awry over towards this side. Gladiator is not actually in as good of a spot as you might think. Romantic and 60, no meds available.
PMPL 스타이퍼 다 보인 것 같은데.
So the initial shots will count for a lot here. Pmgc Evos takes down Kiss You from Malise on a short rotate. He's on a very south scout at the moment for this team, but has eliminated one of the players that might have caused him a little bit of issue in the future.
It's a nice find for him. And he can keep his nose clean now. Back off a little bit. Play for the scouting mission that he wanted to be on. We've got a fight developing as well. As you can see, Loop struggling on this one. Compound control working well for Reject Tokyo as the first shots will land. Nades rolling in through the windows to at least keep them uncomfortable. But Loops, off the back of losing the first squad member, do retreat from this, realizing it's not a fight you really want to instigate.
It's going to leave. Get out of dodge. I mean, Reject still have Sara up towards Trifecta at the moment. He needs to come on down.
아니 루스 몰라? 그 페달 루스였잖아요.
Scenario, but at least they can get into Pi 9, get situated. They can claim some of the rooftops, some of those little tricky areas to try and scout out and deal with players that do play. And if you're coming in from that top side, you might even get stopped by Stalwart, who are already making their move out from boot camp, trying to flex the muscles a little bit.
딴 건 상관이 없어. 실수하고 그래 그럴 수 있어. 씨발 오더를 씹는다니까?
그래.
그니까.
뚝뚝 들어오네.
그러니까 왜 나서로니까 갑자기 쭉쭉 들어오냐.
Most teams, and it does result in you losing the chance to really get anything out of your opening game. But for the sheer level of audacity of it, and the big key word that we were talking about going into our opening game being confidence, it does so much for you. You win out on that hot drop, you got to think, Falcons right now must be feeling like $1 million, right? They're kind of sat there thinking, okay, we've been able to shut down Mad Bulls initially. Off the back of it, you can play a bit of a slower game. You've got time to ease into things, getting the nerves out of the way early, Blank. And that really does help an awful lot. I think as soon as you find that first contact and walk away with a win under your belt, it just makes the rest of the day that little bit easier. You're not thinking about your first engagements. You're not thinking about the fact if we miss our shots, it can all go up in a puff of smoke right here. Now you're just thinking, okay, 4 elims in the bag. Let's coast it out, see where we can go from this, boys. We're looking good.
Yeah, I mean, Falcons, you're 100% right. They're taking ruins off
being able to put some thunder down
저기
range from
밀기
the
쉽긴 해.
high angle they've got.
저기 밀기
They
쉽지.
do connect back onto Earths.
R&J is able to get a little bit done, but I think that's about it realistically. Both these players should get back up on their feet, but really aggressive play coming through from Alpha 7. And this is sort of what we were having a conversation about as well, Jackie, earlier on, is the fact that you get into a close quarters fight with Alpha 7, that's where their mechanical skill really starts to shine a lot. It gets difficult to deal with. The fact they just rocked up DBS out the side of the car, quickly mopped up a few players. By that point, they're totally okay with losing to Nox in.
아,
That's
리젝트
sort of
있구나,
like their
생각해보니까.
sacrifice. Next circle shift heads on over towards the western side, but an awkward circle realistically because there's not
리젝트 기억자살 그대로 쓰네.
points over here just yet where it's
와,
headed.
서클 개
Does
좋다.
allow a lot more time for
감지까지
teams
그냥
towards
그대로
the northern
먹던데.
side to actually.
아, 그래?
안 내줘.
그걸 내주는구나, 파이난이.
Large portion of it as
파이난
well,
뒤졌잖아,
obviously
방금.
being
아, 그래?
the
아, 그래?
meaning that those bridges are going to become a larger and larger focal point. Falcons having good control of one of those key rotation angles, especially with Gladiators having to make a bit of a move
그래?
at some point. Could be a talking point there. Already,
웃음소리가
I'm just
점점
impressed
커지긴
with the
했어.
sheer level
나
of
방송
progress
소리를
we've seen coming out. In the
키웠는데?
back of my mind, I was
방송
thinking,
마이크 소리를
although we've
키웠는데.
seen that there should be hot drops, although we've seen that we should see
파라마이크도
clutches
같이
from the
걷어나오는데.
start.
말이 안 돼,
You wondered
그거는.
if, you know, sort of collectively
방대로
it
알아?
would be the approach to
생각해보니까.
don't make the first
나왔다.
mistake. You know, all of
싫은데?
the squads wanting to take a bit more of a cautious way
많이
to
나왔네.
open up Group Green, knowing what's on the line here. But instead, it's been the opposite side of the coin. They have just been fighting into every engagement they feel comfortable in. And at the minute, it's really delivering, at least for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is
빨간색이
why it's called a group of
뚫리구나.
death at the end of the day. I mean, we
야,
just
너무-
look at the side of the screen here on a little sky.
첫판 산옥은 너무 정신이 없다.
와, 근데 씨발 이 선수 싫어야 이거.
램마전 램마전만 4개였을걸?
Just the one alter ego down
지리는데.
to two. Most of these teams have lost a play already, which is so
룹스가
crazy.
페데랄 있던
The
팀이잖아.
first few minutes of
옛날에.
the map, you know, 47
아,
players
뭐였지?
remaining,
인피니인가?
14 teams, already 2 teams already taking their break, you know. We had quite a while before we started
지금은
this game,
인플러스
and
재미.
I feel bad for those two squads who have just immediately gone back to just
DX가
sitting down
진짜
and chilling out.
아니야, 아, DX,
DX
디자벨
Obviously,
어.
the longevity in your survival time, especially in this
MSX는 뭐?
opening game on Sandhawk, can do so much.
쟤는 너 처음-
mechanically get you honed in, finding yourself closer
야,
towards being able to
터키
play in that
애들인가,
sort of
쟤네?
flow state
MSX
where you can
터키란데.
approach everything
터키
with
BRA
best
는?
ability. It's hard. If you get
BRA도
out
그
of it
터키
straight away,
그
sat
유럽
there kind of feeling a
PMPL
bit, you know, disheartened by the fact that you've been knocked out immediately. It can
저기
mean that you
예쁘
slow roll throughout the rest of the day. So it's another one where Mad Balls, once we get onto those
저
Erangals
진짜
thinking
아닌가?
towards the
적시.
future, again there, the pressure's on. How quickly you
얘
can be
스킨
able
같은
to
거 쓰나,
activate
지금?
that roster.
Yeah, and
그런데.
that is the big thing, right? Because you come off the back of this match, and we didn't talk about it too much because ensures you can
적시
just
죽었다.
toss out the window. I'm going to keep saying
어, 이걸 봐?
But at the same
오.
time, it's like
너가
yeah,
못
you
올라가.
are
잡았어.
losing a
뭐야?
lot of momentum. You're losing
이번에도
that
너가 못
form,
올라갔어.
right? And I
어,
think
못
a lot of
올라가지.
these teams
너가
are feeling a little bit
해나가게
cool
됐어.
coming into this first match.
올라올 수가
So
없어.
you're
아시안 게임은 그렇게
100%
오래 했는데.
right. It's a massive deal going into the rest of the day. So I do
아시안 게임
think that this
인정했으니까.
is something
나
that
딜레이인데?
probably will
안 돼.
cause problems for our two teams that went out
아니,
early.
두 배.
Quest as well as Manball.
두 배인데 안 넘어.
Not going to feel too happy going down
아쉬운
angle.
거지.
And that's where you just have to turn it online, right?
그럼
You
뭐
have to rev
새로운
the
기회
engine,
해야지.
you know, get it to
어떡해.
sputter a bit just to
그런
get
거지.
into
자기장.
things. You might have
똑같은데?
the damage, but that's what it takes
뭐지?
to get a little bit further into
자기장이
this tournament.
자기장이
That's
이렇게 주네.
what it takes. That's the cost.
안 돼.
이러고
Western
이제
Circle
왼쪽
still where a
넘어가는
lot of
이게
teams
뭘로
start
보고
to
있는 거야?
group
공식이
a
뭐
little bit
한국어로 안
more,
보여,
a
혹시?
little less fighting
아,
going on.
나 영어 보고 있어.
네.
한국어 그 소리 안
Over
이상 안 이상해?
side are
지금?
moving down towards Malaysia
나 애초에
Esports.
소리를
Already
끄고 보긴
find
해요.
themselves
아니.
한국어 존나 느린데?
is a really big
아니, 일본에
deal.
장기지도
So
나왔어. 일본 나와 써 있었거든.
Lynx
와,
even has
ST.
that
영어 걸로 봐.
self-scout, so
여기
this is
지금
definitely the
제일
anti-strike coming
한
to play.
페이지.
Getting a quick
지금 한
easy
페이지
first
30초만
pick,
따야.
then going into
영어
a
거.
4v.
아, 영어가 더 빠른 거지?
Really
그지?
sets
빨라,
you up
빨라.
for a great idea.
예, C 치킨이다.
And this is one
이거는
where now
뭘 하든 간에.
와,
you need to come in,
스트레스.
mop and bucket action and really clean
야, 왜
this
이렇게
one
빨라?
from the reset you've been
Yeah.
able to establish from it.
나 새로 치했는데 왜 이렇게 빨라?
We know
아,
some of the names
해외
on this
벌써
roster,
3패네?
pound for
뭐야,
pound, they have got big talent behind them, a lot of history here.
이제 3패
To go
닫혀
down early,
있어.
it would be a struggle.
Oh,
Utilities
shit.
being pulled out though, pin pulled there early on.
오!
over, and it does
야
take
이거
it.
아니 노룩 모임
Now
이거?
got the two knocks
수류탄?
across. Redface obviously very low in terms
이거,
of
이거
the
릴해?
ability of
아,
even being brought back into the
다
fight,
잡았어.
and they can just go for the quick getaway. They've actually played this one pretty nicely.
Yeah, it's a really, really smart move coming there from Maliz Esports. I mean, you know what you need to do in that situation. It's a case of, look, we get that
그니까.
first knock. We're at a disadvantage here. If we continue
해야지 결단의 타이밍이야 3패잖아
we're constantly going to be on
결-
the
좆된
ground.
거
So,
지금
well
해야
done
돼.
to
그래
Maliz
결단의 타이밍이야 가는 거야
아 이거
That
티안바도
knock on
갔는데
the
이건?
name, just getting
티안바
you out
좆됐어.
of the get-go.
MSX야 가야돼
But EVOS though, I think that
결단의 타이밍이야 지금
kind of the story
와,
of the entire
티안바.
engagement, right? They had to finish it
됐어.
quickly.
야 저 폭이 어떻게 나온 거야? 소리까지?
Maliz Esports able to
티안바 끝났어.
영혼의-
overtake them,
영혼의-
leapfrog them.
아니 집 쪽에서 달려나오면서 던졌는데 저게
No
맞네?
longer is as safe anymore to
뭐가
getting
되는 술사이 존나
players
많잖아.
into
아니,
the
완전 끝-
camp. You know there's gonna be
완전
players
끝사거리로
watching
쭉
from the
던졌나
valley where
보네.
currently Stalwarts
100m 안
playing
되잖아.
over towards that
100m 안 될 것
location.
아니야 될 거 같은데?
EVOS
아까 거리 보고
100m도 날라가긴
taking
해요
that
근데
too
점프
slow,
폭
아, 알지.
not being as confident
그건
as we
알지.
might like.
안 날아갈 것
Tiamba,
같아.
on the other hand,
근데
sort of
저걸
stuck
맞추는 건 신기하긴
on
하네.
the edge.
아, 100은 아니다. 한 80? 80
trifecta. They want to move further down, but this is a
티안바 이거
difficult
건너편에서 안
position to
쓰냐?
push.
와 티안바 개
You are
숨막힌다.
trapped at the beck and call.
이미 죽었어 이거
그래야
I mean,
돼.
even if you're going to attempt
그치.
to advance out from this,
아니,
there's
이미
still
죽었어.
people
뭐 하는
on the
거야,
side,
여기서.
sure.
갔어 이거. 차라리 그냥
Looking
수영에서
great though when it
넘어갔어.
comes to
아니
slam
수영
dunk.
해서 기억자 가야지
Boom that you
지금부터
potentially have to get
여기서
out
이러고
of a
있으면 뭐할
spot like
건데?
this. Instead, like you were saying,
빨리 기억자 상자 전에 뭐 하는 거야?
you've got to try and go for a bit of a group push.
인생 망했네. 아니 한 명 남겨놓고 다
See
가야지.
if that'll buy you just enough time to bypass, but you are surrounded really.
이걸 뚫을 생각한다고?
At least a little bit more space taken.
얘네 집
Some of the
빠지면
early
능선
scavenging
올리면서
paying
뚫을 것
off
같은데
as well,
이거?
with the stims being
정지
pulled out to
빠지면
top them
올리면서
back
뚫을 것
up.
같은데?
But you've got
아니,
angles
뭐라고.
here.
근데 그게
and
돼?
they are just
저희 따개 못
at
쓰잖아.
mercy blank. Getting out of
따개비
this is
못
gonna be
써도
so
저거
awkward.
나름 괜찮아.
Yeah,
차
I mean,
얘
at
차가
least for
있잖아.
Tiamba
차로
right now, they
돌리면
have their
할만할
advantage.
것
For
음악하고.
I8, you know, they're playing with three,
집이
but I do think they're
집이
doing
건너편이 다
excellent
빠져가지고
job
따라갈 것
holding down
같아.
individual
씨발.
angles, right? Every
그냥
time someone
스킬이다.
else is moving,
SD야?
watching
SD야?
that peak outcome from Tiamba.
근데 이거
Only
마우너
one
서클이긴 해.
location really
딱
go.
봐도.
They know they want to get
아,
towards that compound.
이거는
They can't
안
realistically
났다.
spread
수
across
있을
'cause
수도
it doesn't lead them to two ideal
티안바
grounds.
수영!
와우.
Most likely
ST 이거 이상한 짓 안 하면 치킨이다.
티안바 수영해! 진짜 니네 뭐해? 거기 못 들을 가치가 없잖아 이제.
그니까 아니 수영해 빨리. 아니 북캠 쪽 딸비기까지 가면은 순방이겠네.
병신들아.
방송 중이에요.
Problem for them
손님.
in the near future, but I think that as they leave,
이렇게 자연스러워.
massively blocked up right
바로
now.
통 바꾸네.
So Stalwart needs to start.
SC 시동 걸렸어요.
Oh, this was the rotation.
근데 ST랑 따였는데?
Obviously for
그
quite
BGB
some
아까
time,
그거 어떻게 살렸냐?
Evos had been on the back
개피인
foot,
거?
and it felt like they were really
그 레드패치 왜
uncomfortable on this
살아있냐?
one. It was
뭐야?
그니까.
smart to play from Lewis
완전
as they put
완전
up
개피 아니었냐?
the
기절한 상태로?
compound after getting away from the
야,
fight
근데
they
우리 왜
had
시작을 안
inside
해?
the blue. Now the spacing comes
이걸
back.
살리네?
Redface was brought back into the
중이신가
action,
보지.
and they're at least putting the
맨날
pressure
실수하니까
on.
한명 튕기긴 했다.
Utility is there for them, but because of how much they've
방송
had
끄지
to waste to
있었잖아.
reset
아니, 이거
from
에임
the
됐어.
previous engagement,
이거 에임을
you're
안
looking at
되고.
some drips
뭐가
and drabs. It
그냥
seems like
뛰어가지고
across the
시작 안
board,
했잖아.
really, if they do not survive off the back of this,
오?
one, find a way to encroach into that compound.
오야
They
백업.
don't have much to work with, and there is
Rebel.
balls coming over and honing in on your angles as well.
점프하고 좀 많이
This is looking like we could have a bit of an intense
와우.
counter on this. Redface with a dive across.
지인데.
Not hopping on that one as he is
MSX.
sprayed
이게
down.
없으면
Yeah, it's a
하나.
야 어떻게 하냐? See you later.
아, 펄저브.
See you later.
As well, not easy to
걔네는
pull off. So
개처럼
very, very good
적히야.
shot
너
to see you later. He was a real
근데 ST 왜
standout
두
for
기절이냐?
esports in
아, 너 왜 이렇게
a
빠르냐?
multitude of tournaments that
아
they've
기절 아니야 저거
아니야.
기절 아님.
Alchemy
피다라는 거야.
also
기절 아니야.
similarly moved
아,
up from
그래?
that south
너
side
지금
to
신이돼서
really
지금
control
개패고 있다, 야.
down the guys from EVOS at the moment.
맛있게 먹으시는 중.
That is, I mean,
티안바는 왜 살아있는 거야?
players on their side. I mean, they've been
다 불핀데, 심지어?
쟤네 왜 살아있어?
RC's coming in, Loops also taking
아,
shots.
룹스도
But again, I
좋댔고
think they are in a
서클.
position where they can maybe hold on, but with Tixi taking so
아니
much
그게 아니라 쟤네 안
downspace,
건너가고
it's
거기서
getting
멈춰
real
있어.
unideal.
No, the longer this
인수
fight
훔쳤나
goes
보네.
on,
그럼에도
the worse it
불만했어.
looks. I mean, we knew Falcons had control of the bridge from a very early moment onto this. They
우리
felt confident
포칭킨
with the way
램바전이다.
the fight started. Loops
파이팅.
right up in their grill
저
as
사이
well ahead of
강하네.
each other. So at least it's developing into
와,
a clash
티안바
between
자리
four of the
괜찮아졌는데?
squads. Leaning up now going to be the most important
아 움직이면서 쏘고 너무 아쉽네 이거.
아 근데 MSX는 저 리젝트 막루 그냥 아랫
그니까 질렀으면은 인생이 얼마나 폈어.
팀 부캠 땡겨주면 재밌긴 하겠다.
아 절대 아니야 이거는 물 빠지면서 온도 땡기지.
아 근데 일본 튕길 레몬은 존나 강심장이네.
봐봐.
Yeah, it's all over the place, and it makes sense as well because
와 탑이 위치가 미쳤는데?
탑이요.
미쳤네, 얘는.
And Star Wars doing what Star Wars does best, which is hold these angles down.
역심리.
Really take a dominant
근데
position
lem마전이네요,
in the circle
여기.
itself. I
lem마전이에요,
love the
lem마전.
top he's got headed up towards his
정석이 여기 있어도 되는 거지.
gives him a lot of safety. He's
내가 어떻게 되는지 말해줄게 얘들아.
야 우리 교정가 알려주는 거.
and the rest of the boys in action nerds at a
야
nice
우리 교정가 그
방송국이 방송국 아니야, 그거? 진짜?
평가적인 거지 여기.
아니 나 GC 알려준다고.
노코치님 아니야, 노코치님?
그러니까 코치님 아니야 이제?
무슨 개소리야.
아 정석이
카톡
카톡하고
사고
되겠다.
붙었어?
붙었어? 형 가야지? 가야겠지?
선이 형
노코치 가야겠지?
아직 편입이 나왔어.
없는데? 나 뭐 비빈 거 없는데? 안 보이지. 웬만좀 볼까? 없어?
형들 GC 보자. 반면하면서.
이번 쪽에 저거.
갑자기 생기면 안 돼?
나 그러면 이거 1번 탈게. 근데 내 옆에 따라가기 어떤 새끼야? 죽여버리니까?
아시아 건들면 죽인다.
내가 따라가기 하지 말라고 몇 번 말했어,
그
씨발.
오집 건들면 죽인다.
팔콘 8킬 뭐냐?
누가 8킬이야?
팔콘.
니 지금 핑 오집
1번 탈게.
팀킬이
핑
8킬.
오집이라고 이 새끼야.
아? 그럼 나 가운데 설게, 가운데. 빨리 나왔다. 내 쪽에 사진 안 돼?
오. SC 사육장이었어 사육장.
팔콘 좆됐는데? 야, 타민조. 나 더울래. 아니 ST 씨발 저거 맞아? 아이씨? 근데 어떤 새끼는 진짜 보고 있는데? 야 그렇지 마.
와 킬캐치까지.
너가 보면 안 돼. 쟤는 뭐 보나.
난 봐도 큰 효과가 없어. 하지만 넌 이 팀의 주축이기 때문에. 야 컴퓨터 킨다? 난 컴퓨터 이미 켜놓고
야, 디자비의 힘 유지가 잘 되는데?
근데
아, 파사분도
돈이
그렇고?
starting to get very, very difficult.
맞아,
And
이미
Star
켜놓고
Wars
해야지.
stole the show
그냥
this
북경에
game.
짜증 나요.
See how
아까 쟤 차 있어.
손 뗀다?
와 서클 뭐냐 이거?
So far, you know, he's really been putting
근데
up some
차
massive
있어가지고
work.
동쪽
He's a
라인
bit more.
야 근데 이거 티 한 번 모르겠는데?
chaotic side, I'd say, compared to action. And
티 한 번 아직 몰라
very
이거.
good in the clutch scenario, but I think that's what
나이키지
makes him
지금
fantastic,
두 팀이나
right? He
살아있죠.
will just
ST,
hold the line
티 한 번.
for you.
그리고 얼토이고 이것도 좀
against
변수다.
the entirety of Falcons, whilst the
아,
rest of the
내가
boys
해설할
are just
걸
dealing with all these
미쳐,
other
내
angles slowly but surely.
너 미쳐.
와우.
Alter Ego, obviously we saw
안 돼?
them in their
안 돼, 안
engagement
돼,
between
이거?
Gladiators. They got a little bit luckier. They were able to get down towards
보니까 미자가
Trifecta
없긴
early
하더라.
on. I think it was a smart
되게
move to
인정.
make.
미자 어떻게
그냥 경력이 있는 사람 중에
Because of
미자가
it.
없던 거
I think the
아닐까?
most interesting thing, though, is
사실
the way
그것도
that
맞긴 해.
Pisces play.
근데 성인을 우대로 하지
From
않을까?
compound to
미자하고
compound,
성인.
he's
근데
constantly
딱히
covering
미자하고
the back of
성인을
the team. So the communication on these
구별한다기보다는
lads, it's phenomenal.
아무도 안 나왔을 것
From the
같고.
amount of fights they're actually being thrust into.
와 디자비에 왔다.
They're being able
와.
It's ridiculous.
아이씨. 와 영웅이다 영웅.
Throws two players down to the deck instantly. DX
뭐했는데?
struggling
아니,
to crack it
씨발,
out. Well, that's
뭐했는데?
not
폭
what
하나로
you
두명
want.
잡으면 디자비에 붙인
Oh
거.
mate, suddenly the
그냥 면상폭으로.
being applied is
저거
even
해주면.
more intensified.
ST
as
먹어라.
I see
SC 먹어라.
this
티 한번
man
못 쳤네
is
이거.
ice cold. There is no sweat on his brow.
아 이게
It's insanely good. But you
티안마랑
also
디자비에랑
got
지네들끼리
much
싸우면 안 되는데
elimination.
저거를 라인.
ST가 못 먹으려면
And he
남서클
performed it perfectly, which
두번
is
튀어야 돼.
to
점까지
hold this
남서클 해야 돼.
position. They know DXA's got to come out at some point.
아, 시야
So
놓쳤다,
he has
액션 뛰는 거.
absolutely rinsed them from this spot. Really,
차렸대.
really well done. In the
근데
meantime,
ST 이거,
continues to
ST
provide
이거?
information.
야,
His
사인
whole
사인
job
아 디자비가
is
더
to
거기 안
졌네.
돼.
die.
거기 안 돼, 내 거.
And getting two knocks
이
in the
인점이
process,
어떻게
you're holding it down.
작성됐지?
That's fantastic news for
그래도
him.
다른
We'll see if
사람은?
the snake clips him.
아이씨 잘한다.
그 우리 뻑이 안 돼요?
잡냐?
Quarters though, trying to find his way out of the doorway. Might
야
be
얘네 무슨
but, ooh, DBS in a hand. Look at the quick shot. Look at the back.
와 얘네 무슨
As well with a follow-up.
경박이네.
버퍼링 걸렸어.
I see. He's on one.
걸렸지?
That was a fantastic.
얘네 폼 왜 이러냐 SC?
Man, he's been all
그래,
over the
어떻게
shop there.
아니 그냥 한 명씩 한강을 보는데 다 막아.
He had backup. He saw action though, despite everything.
좋은 거야?
Running
어.
in from the end.
그냥 일당백 하는 거인 다.
1대4 존나
Quiet.
치는
He's got this
바디는 줄?
on lock on that top side.
아니, 널
Absolutely
저도
time,
씨발.
though, as for players,
어.
very
맞아?
up to 7
뭐야 탑이 먹었어 이걸 왜 포테이토 킬이 아니냐 이게?
와 널제도 5킬 혼자서 씨발 미친놈.
이것도 찾았어 포테이토도.
Pulling out the SMG. Will it be Sublime? Bullets down range quickly. Nerzed still focused on the potential getaway from the
너무
last
신났는데?
one.
오와
DPS
아니 킬을 안 놓치네. 와
punishing as Potato
야, 알파
gets
세븐도
back in the
끝났다, 이거.
ground.
Dear me.
갇혔네. 아닌데?
Absolutely.
야 근데 집이 꼈어 능선 빠지고. 이거 뭘 아직 그 북캠능 아래 3돌까지만 ST가 가면 모르긴 하는데
할만해. 아니 할만해 이거.
Going hell for leather over here.
근데 알파 이거 ST가 빨리 가야 돼 3돌까지 먹으러. 아 이미 자리 먹었네. 이거 폭으로 마피오스 IC가 자르면은
한번 사봐.
모르긴 해.
With a 4 versus 3,
차도
map
좀
control, it's got to
배불러지.
be said. It is stalwart.
나
They're
800
playing it
좀
to a
그러니까
T,
사람이 부른
living
게
the
아니라
name
차갑에
here.
부른 거지.
I mean, the way
형,
they
우리
control this
형
map as
차가
well.
전자.
You saw they put a lot of emphasis
그러니까 왜안
towards
가고
this
뭐
side.
위치 체크
They
다
used
됐고.
this
나
outpost
발로 뛰고 있어,
before,
이미.
mainly
점.
as a scouting
차가 줬다,
position, but they wanted the high ground when it came to that aim game. So
세나-
everything is part of their grand
세나텍스가
design here.
여기서
아이씨 왜 이렇게
Set up,
빡쳤냐?
looks good for a play.
세나텍스가
아니
근데 아이씨가 지금 이거
와
누나
An
아이씨
immediate return from Icy again.
해야 되나?
Oh, you can see the way they're playing it as well,
이게-
trying to bait each other up.
아,
Playing the numbers,
널저드.
they know they can trade for one of these players. Come off each other's contract.
와,
Icy
1대1,
goes up close.
아 스포하지마
Down to the
왜 이렇게
DBS,
빨라,
punishing
씨발,
with
이건들.
one punch.
스포하지마 너네.
No HP though, and not great position in place as well.
스포하지마.
Got to pop those heals quick.
와.
Shut
여기서 한번
down another
봐야
one. Suddenly
봐야
we're
돼.
starting to see Stalwart coming out
뭘
on top
보게.
unless
왜 이렇게
one
쫄깃하냐?
man
뭘 봐야 돼,
DBS
게임을 봐.
closes
실시를
the
가.
gap. Keeps him in close check.
조용히 해.
This is a rough position of being blank. He's behind the
아직 안
tree.
나왔어.
He might be barking up the wrong one.
존나 좋아.
Just Nerzed versus
이거를-
Mafioso.
야,
Now as the
그래서 누가
circle
이겼는데?
begins to close, Nerzed goes for the jumping.
맞아 오씨
와 아니 뭐야 이거?
My God, there
와
it is.
널제드.
In the end, Nerzed shutting it down. And the success
와,
coming out.
아니 이걸
Bit
먹네.
of a celebration as well, and rightly so. I mean, the way that
아이씨
Stalwart played
미친놈
that,
아니야 근데?
you've got to give
그러니까.
them props.
갑자기 왜
Individually,
조정 좀
Blank,
줘봐.
we were talking
차이 뭐가
about
많다.
confidence being such a big boon. Being
아니
able to
아니 근데 저거 램마표 뽑아놓고 하는 거 저래도 된 거야?
on a
저번부터
big
느낀
stage like
건데.
this. I think they went above and beyond. That was
그러니까.
only
우리도
30%
그랬어
power.
쟤네.
그러니까
30% additional power, right? It really
그러니까.
gave
실수해서
it
해봐.
in that first match. This is
PS에서 해줘.
reliable map.
내가 잠시 내볼게.
A bunch of points as well.
박격포 자마냥
Get
그냥.
16 eliminations.
박격포 나오면 내가 자 갖고 와서 해볼게.
Absolutely
핸드폰에 자 대면서.
disgusting. That's going to set them head and shoulders
얘네
above the
ST4 미쳤네 얘네.
little buffer. And at the start of the day, you're
심상치 않은데?
나 한 개도 없어.
is
한
a
번에
thing that
나와, 나야.
starts you off in towards that top 3 and at the very least keeps you
서클
in
바뀌면
great
말이죠.
contention to get in towards that
내가
top lane.
3초 남았어
There's
씨발.
a
봐.
7킬 쳤네? 뭐세요?
He seemed
한
pretty
번에
resilient,
와.
but in the game he was
서클
all
서클
out.
바뀌었다. 어디 한번
And
박을래
that's
그냥?
what matters. If you've got the
어?
energy
형
to be
던지지는
able to
말자
maintain
우리.
composure off of
뭐
the
선발
server
찾아본다고?
and really just
맞아.
come out and play your absolute best, well, we can prove that with some of the numbers.
그래서
The way
날리러
they were
가야겠어.
playing
나 지금
was
로는까지
incredible.
왔는데?
Like you said, the whole time, Nerzed
너
was
내가
basically
볼게.
the
미치는
was able to hold down
그거 웨이브
1v2s,
봐줄래? 이번 주
1v3s.
봐줄래?
IC being the point
그거
man,
안 되면
defending the back line.
오참 비었는데.
Yeah, this was
해야
insane. This was actually a really good
우리가
display of
부천까지
teamwork
비었어.
and just the caliber of
와.
skill that Stalwart have to
됐다
offer.
얘네.
이번
Yeah,
안될
you're
것 같으면
looking
우리 왜
at
이러 와?
almost
고창
3k
비었어.
damage overall.
16킬
Like,
26점 먹어
이거.
일라에.
numbers are told.
고창
Nerzed
말고
barely taking a
이번
scratch on this lad.
이번에
24
기다려봐.
damage received total is seriously
Okay.
something else. But I do think Icy at the end of the day,
근데 다 될 것 같긴 해 뭔가.
that guy was the MVP of that
Okay.
squad that
이렇게
game.
맞긴 한데.
저거 마인드가
Great
맞아.
job, right?
쳐다보는 거
Because
없어.
hold down those
쳐다보는 거
angles,
없어, 일단.
hold down those edges, allow the rest of this team
건너볼까?
just to frag out.
건너봐, 같이
But
건너자.
he was not
가자, 가는
stopping,
중이야.
and he looked
거의 다
frozen
왔어.
solid.
ST 램마가 어디지?
아 형.
아야
형! 야!
Drop him
형
through.
씨발 그거 갖다 박으면.
The shape,
그런데.
this is the
무조건 없어,
difference
무조건
between
없어.
one that
원래
looks
없을 수가
good
없어.
and
뒤졌어, 우리.
watching it. The DBS flip blank. Those
돈이
are
형 그게 맞아?
They can clay
아, 근데 나는 홍돈이 형 있으면 어쩔 건데?
south.
없으면 어쩔 건데?
chocker.
From the
난
north,
있으면 잡을 거라고 말할 줄
skydive
알았어.
down. Similar drop to the guys from Gladiator, so they're going to
없어도
have to
잡을 거야.
fight for their place
야,
here.
집 찍어줄게.
Already off the rip, we've got a knock coming through over towards Hatin, I believe. So
주유소도
two hot
비었다.
drops occurring in the same place.
4집은?
here, and there is so much more to come. But for now, we've got to pass it back up to the boys on the desk. Have a field day.
겜지까지 주면 준호 겜지 먹을래? 야 2번 있고 지금 2번도 있다. 4집 있고 왜 2번 있어? 겜지 있는 거 아니야?
와.
괜히가 너무
미친놈이다.
What more could you ask for? I mean, stalwart esports just starting off so strong, looking
여기서
good here,
그냥
Carlos.
다리 건너오는 거만 막고 갈래?
What a win. We said it in
팀
the
정도
pre
있을 것
show.
같은데?
Me and Max flailing blindly, saying Star Wars,
겜지
they're
먹을게.
the
너 다리
best.
매달려봐.
And here
나
they
지금도
are.
먹을게.
Admittedly, it's south of boot camp, so they should be getting a big conversion off of this.
건너편에 미라도가
The
있는데
way
존나 먹고
in which they
싶은데
hold
근데
this
저기
ground
우아지 남자.
is nothing
내
short
머리에
of
쳤더니?
incredible
지금
against some of the
이거.
threats that were posed
오빠
here.
중이네.
괜찮아.
야
Talk
이거
about how 90% of the highlights are just
Wow.
야 저쪽 라인 돌려줘야 돼. 얘들아. 야
It's a
새끼
highlight
라이딩이다.
section. But what a play, and
어떻게 해줘?
especially the way they
어디?
defend
아니,
their
아니.
position because they go from
야,
drop-in boot
뭐냐,
camp. By the
아이씨가
way,
봐주네.
very important, the hot drop didn't
야,
happen.
근데
So
올라가는
they
데가 딱
win the
있어서
game,
못
they win
사주냐?
boot camp for the
뭐.
foreseeable future, which is a great setup entering
딱
into the league stage. And
우승 후보들이
look at that
다
16
먹었네.
elimination.
ST,
IC is
알파7,
technically the
팔콘.
support in quotation marks, and you just gate kept Tiamba and Xavier solo in those buildings north of that mountain.
지금
What the hell did we just
좀
witness?
잘한다
This is
하는
an
애들
insane
중에 못
opener match
먹은
to have
애들은
Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, that
아고나이의
Xavier was just disgusting.
아고나이시
And
아니라
yeah, you talk about
얼터이고
winning that, hot
글래디에이터,
drop, and not even having
레디.
that 26 eliminations, that's going to put a stamp on it.
lem마전이
right? I think it's
있었으니까.
fortunate for the rest of the lobby, the fact that we're only playing one Sandhawk here, right? But I mean, what more could you really ask for on a start, Cal?
No, absolutely. I think so. To go back to the icy situation where he's holding off against the teams that were coming in from north of him, I think, and maybe this didn't happen, but this is my theory.
근데 얘네는
He played that scenario over in his
GC
head about
무대에서
10 times before it occurred. The reason
저렇게
I say
플레이하는 게
that,
진짜
whilst we
쉽지가
see
않은데.
1,000 damage coming in from Nurse here, insane stuff, is because if you're a boot camp team, you know as the boot camp team how to approach the compounds just outside of boot camp. So he knows that Xavier has very limited options to approach that kind of compound. So he knew exactly what to do as they were hitting. It was
사실
brilliant.
널제드가 킬캐치
And
잘한
it's
것도
even smarter when
있는데
you think about it because he knew
IC
down the
역할이
one
진짜
northwest,
컸다, 이거.
northwest, right, Kalara? So Xavier only had one specific angle they could play, which is the corner of that wall over to the northeastern edge. Pre-nade it, double nade explosion right on top of them, and it gets the double knock. It's fantastic to see. And the amount of trust too, we need to mention this. The amount of trust and strong team
그래.
communication.
신뢰가 말이 안 되게 한다. 사실
we're gonna hold 3-4 teams on the western
평소
side,
스크림
all
상황이었으면
solo
이게
against
절대 안 된
Xavier
스플릿인데
and Chamba.
후반부에
Good luck. And he just comes out winning that fight is just insane when you really put it into perspective.
I mean, it's fortunate for them to be able to get this circle, right? I mean, they did, but the key is that they took advantage of it and maximized it.